So, before I explain this, I'm going to tell you another story, and because it seems so similar in a way. So, my daughter came to work with me at my job, and the owner, my boss, you know, I said, well, can I bring my daughter with me, to work? And she could just hang out because, the place is really safe. The mall is real safe, and there's video cameras all over and security guards everywhere. And I felt like it would be fun for her where she could kind of run about on her own or whatever and go look at, cool stores and stuff and you know, hang out with me at work. And he's like, well, I don't like, people with their boyfriends, girlfriends hanging out, you know, with the people that are working. And I say, well, this is my daughter, and I just don't want to leave her alone that far away, because she didn't drive, she didn't have a car. Um, I had like three cars back then, and I didn't like where we lived at Marquette, and she was like 15, 15, maybe 15 and a half, and so she, I just didn't feel comfortable leaving her. She's a real pretty girl, and uh, I didn't want anything bad to happen, and plus, if something happened, an emergency, it'd take me a little time to get home. So, you know, and this guy really needed me to work a lot and all that stuff. It seemed like, and it ended up being that way. I ended up being like the only worker for like months, pretty much by myself, um, and just working really till late at night and everything else because I chose to. Because there's a lot of money to be made. My tips alone were just horrendous. My pay was fantastic, even though it was kind of low, but I could, work as many hours as I wanted pretty much because I proved to the point, that I could make the money and it would cover my payroll. And, in time, my daughter ended up helping and working with me, which was great. Um, and it was really nice of my boss to, let me bring her. Um, so we ended up being a really, really good team at my job. Although she didn't get paid, but she learned how to do balloons, and people gave her tips. And some days she made more tips than me. One day she did like 200 and something dollars in tips. It was amazing, and I didn't make poop. And she turned around, and she said, "Mommy, uh, here, I'll give you my money." I'm like, "No," and she's like, "Well, yeah, because you didn't make much tonight." There's somebody playing music over here. And I said, "Well, but I mean, you made that money." And she's like, "No, no, here." And she turns around and she like, says, "Okay, just take this." And hands me like $40. And I just wanted to cry. What a wonderful girl. And she was just trying to make me feel better. I make good money in my pay, but she was just trying to be sweet. She's, good that way. And so, and she's really good at business. She had worked Subway. They treated her like trash over there. That was really upsetting, and I'll go into that another time of how bad they were. And this is my babyest girl, okay? And so, uh, and then she worked a Mexican place, and the jerk face, the people were so mean there. Some of the people she worked with were just vicious. And uh, the owner seemed like a nice guy, and actually he wasn't. He was really dirt trash. He held up her pay for like 4 weeks. It was really bad. And I felt so bad for her. What two horrible experiences for first jobs. So anyway, you know, we knew everybody down there in the mall and stuff, and we're friends with everybody. Did business with some of the people, for our lunches or drinks or treats or whatever. And we had a blast. It was really really fun, and I felt very safe, so that she could wander around the place, from one end to the other, and I knew she would be very safe, and everybody knew her, and I didn't have to worry, and so and she was really good fun to work with. She actually ended up being pretty much better than me because it would get so problematic with the tourists. They were so mean, and I just was like, and she would just jump right in there and handle them, and because I just didn't want to fool with them. They were horrible. But she was real good with people. She could really kind of get them straightened out. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up. And so that was really nice. It's like, I'll just do the job, you do the other part. And she's like, I got it. So we really made a horrendous team and made a lot of money together. Um, uh, although she didn't get paid because he didn't hire her, but he was kind enough to let me bring her when it was absolutely against his policies. And then he actually depended on her. She was like iconic key of the business. Amazing. Okay. And so anyway, she's a pretty amazing girl. Very, business, very motivated, money motivated, and I kind of feel like a lot of times people abuse her, um, you know, when kind of like taking her for granted for her kindness and being so wonderful. And so, uh, we had a good friend that worked, at the mall there, and there was this place, and they were looking for people. They were pretty short. We knew the manager real good, and so we went in there one day, and I said, well, if you're short, because he's like, I'm the only one working, and he was managing there for like 3 years. And the sad part was I never gave him a raise in 3 years. It was pitiful, and so he didn't get manager pay and all that stuff. And so he's a really really great guy. And I thought, man, if my daughter could get to work over there, you know, so she can feel her, you know, independence, and all that too. And, heck, we'd be working at the same place, going to the same job, basically, same work, and um, save gas time, not have to worry about schedules, anything. Um, you know, and then if they were short, they could just come over to my work and grab her, and say, hey, we need her for a few hours or today because we're short. And so, I thought this might be cool. So anyway, he absolutely refused. He said, there is no way. I'm not working any kids. I'm done. It's not worth it. It's too much trouble. I am not doing it. She's just too young. And I'm like, oh, come on. She's very grown up. She's very business. And she will make you money. And any 6-year old that can sell $600 worth of clothes dressing somebody is amazing. Okay? Yeah, I'll tell you that story another time too. Amazing right from the get go. Makes a horrendous salesperson. Anyway, so it's kind of sad, and when she first walked in, he was like, well, so can you sing? Because that was part of the job, being an entertainer, in that. Um and they make candy, and make really expensive candy. Okay. Really expensive, but it's all from scratch and it's really good quality stuff. And none of it's shipped in, it's all made there. And so, he was like, well, can you sing? And I was like, oh God, you know, because she likes to sing. She tries to sing. She's, you know, not like a trained singer. I would have loved to got her in training, because she has, the go, and she's not scared to sing in front of people. Um, she's just kind of like a diamond in the rough. Um, I mean, but she's better than most because she tries. That's the whole bottom line. You have to try. So, anyway, so he's like, "So can you sing?" And she just kind of looks, and I'm like, "Okay." And she goes, "Well, yeah." And so, she sung something with him or something, and he told me later. He says, "I just can't hire her. She's just too young. I'm just not doing it." It's like, oh God. So I was really good friends with the district managers of that company. And I also know the owner from way back. Okay. And from the 80s. That's another long story. And my my other child, baby 60, met him years ago, in Tennessee. And at one of his, I guess it was like his first retail store. And she was like 8, probably. So anyway, that's my other little girl. So anyway, I knew this guy from way back, apparently. I didn't really know until kind of later that it was the same guy. And so anyway, the district men came in, and they used to come in, every few months from all across the states, from St. Louis, and from um, all these different places. And sometimes they would get the big three, or it would be two of them, and it was just a blast. And so I caught Teddy Bear. I nicknamed him Teddy Bear, one of the boys. And he's like a big giant teddy bear. I mean, you know, like 8 foot tall, giant chocolate teddy bear. Okay, nicest guy in the world, just precious. And all these guys are outrageously good singers. Okay, and I don't know if any of them were trained, but boy, oh boy, can they sing. I mean, eh, I don't know if there's a barbershop quartet that could beat these guys. They can sing. I've got a lot of vlogs about them anyway on my channel. So anyway, we were in the garage, and I don't know. I think we were getting ready to open or getting ready to close, and we caught Teddy Bear driving in the parking structure. Said, "Whoa, are you back?" "Yeah." Said, "All right." And we were just all excited, doing hugs, everything. And I said, "Look," he was like asking, Babe how she was doing, and me and stuff. And we were talking and laughing and stuff. And he's sitting in his big SUV, and getting ready to park. And so I said, Babe tried to get a job over there at the store, and he just won't hire her. He goes, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, he won't hire her. He just thinks she's going to be like any other kid, playing on the phone, jerking around, and be problematic, not show up, be late, and just be, too much babysitting." Bottom line. And because she's young, he said she's just too young. And Teddy Bear says, "Nope, we'll hire her." I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yep, I will make sure she has a job. I would love to have her work for me." I said, "Really?" So he got the thing going. I had to fill out my daughter's application. It was like, man, I don't know, 8 pages long of stuff. I filled it all out for her so it would be nice and neat and to the fact, because it was a pretty, you know, thorough application, and she'd never filled out anything like that before. And so I did it up real good, and uh, helped her with all that, and then we turned that in, and uh, had to get documents and stuff for her. Um, and so we did that, Social Security card, all that, and you never believe it, she got hired. So she was working. Also, she worked McDonald's right before that, or kind of at the same time too, right down the street. Um, and if that was the one down at East Miramar, East Destin, Miramar, and she was making like, I think it's 12.75 an hour. Do you believe that? 15 years old, 12.75 an hour, and so. And actually, when I was hired for my job, she was making more than me at McDonald's. That's right, because I was hired at like 8 or 10 plus tips on the job. So anyway, uh, it was really funny. So anyway, she really got into it, and I told her, I said, you can't work there if you gain weight. Job's over. So don't go in there chowing down a bunch of candy and all that. You know, you can't do it. And she's like, okay. And there was also medical reasons for that, which I'll go into another vlog about that, because they were getting ready to put me in jail over her being slightly overweight, which was hard to believe. I mean, you know, she wasn't any porker; she was just slightly chunky, and I had two medical buildings in 2 different states, you know, threatened to put me in jail over her, and they demanded that she lose weight, and it was like, oh my god. So I told her, I said, if you gain weight, you can't stay at the job. So anyway, uh, because see, when you're working a place, like say you're working Italian food, well, then you're going to eat all the food there. And then you're going to gain a ton of weight. You got to be careful what you do. You know what I mean? So if you're working a candy store, guess what? Guess how easy that would be to gain weight, unless you hated it so much, you were sick of it, and you never ate it. Um, so she really did good at that job. She stayed there, I think, like 5 years. I'm thinking 4 or 5 years, something like that. And she was really sharp. Okay, I mean, they were teaching her manager stuff. She was doing inventories. She knew how to do the bookwork. She knew how to close stuff out. I mean, fix deposit. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Go on the computer and do stuff. And they would test her. They give them a test, like every so many months. Um, and then they might get like a quarter raise or some crap. And then sometimes it'd take many months to do it because the district people had to come in to do it, and it depends when they were shipping them back. And sometimes it might be a month, sometimes it might be 3 months, sometimes it might be 6 months. And so I think they do it like 2 or 3 times a year. They'll do that evaluation if somebody's around to do it. So she got I think probably like 3 raises. There was 2 they did miss, which I was very upset about that. But I mean, she really liked the job. She really enjoyed the singing. She wrote a couple songs for her work, which was really neat. She took a lot of pride in her job. She also danced, sang and danced, which was really cool. And she does like this creative dance kind of thing. And I mean, it was just all her, 100% all her. And so, I was really proud. She really had a blast, and the guys really protected her. They were like her brothers. And I used to come in there and go, these are my sons, and they just really were very good with her. Even her original manager, who did not want her to come to work there because she was too young, because he'd been through the mill with a bunch of kids. He just didn't realize she was very special. and she was not like any other kid. And a go-getter will make you money, happy-go-lucky, you know, sweet, friendly, but a very hard worker. And so, anyway, her main boss would say, yeah, well, there was this other girl that come in there to work, and she had this really bad, fried up rainbow hair. Like if you touched it, it broke off like cotton candy, and it kind of looked like cotton candy too. But and she was a little tiny girl. She's real wild. How can we say wild? She's a character, very wild. Uh, More wild than I ever was, and I was kind of wild, when I was younger. But anyway, this girl, she could sell. I mean, like, hard to believe how she could sell. I think she's more of a better hustler than a salesperson, but um, she could sell huge, huge amounts. So one day, her boss laughed, and I was standing there, and he was like, "Yeah, well, if you could sell this much, I'll buy you dinner at whatever place, or some high dollar place or something. I'll pay for your dinner." And he was like, I hate it for him because he's going to be eating that one because I know you just dare her and she can accomplish. I promise you. Oh, I got 3 thumbs up. Thank you. And so, anyway, about 2 weeks, she beat that deal. So guess what? He owes me a dinner. And I'm like, no. She goes, yep, I beat her. I said, are you kidding me? And guess what? She could beat him all day long. And that girl never lasts. She came back twice. She's lasts like a week or two, and she's gone again. Um, and I mean, my daughter, that joker, she's tear him up, boy. Sell the roof off that devil. And so she's just a horrendous salesperson. And the guy that didn't want to hire was super proud of her, really happy with her, and she was workable. She was very workable. So anyway, she progresses through the years, still working there. They were very kind when I was transferred to Grapevine, Texas. We were up there a freaking month. We did not plan on being there a month. It was only temporary. It was supposed to originally be 2 or 3 days. I said, yeah, sounds like a week or two to me, to straighten that mess out. And I was sent up there as a district manager to sort out a location or terminate the location, find out what the deal was with the money, what was going on, and if the location it was a failure, then I was there to terminate it. So anyway, they were really kind, and they did not fire her. I think she was still working McDonald's too, and they didn't fire her either. And so they were very kind because I got transferred, and she can't go to work by herself. She doesn't drive, and she's with me. And I got permission to bring her on that trip to Grapevine for the company I work for. And he put us in a hotel after like a week, finally. And I mean, he covered that, so that was cool. But he still didn't pay her because she wasn't an employee, but really, she did a lot of the job. It was amazing. Um, Now she couldn't like really work for us because she had to have a driver's license and all that other stuff, and she was too young. She didn't have her license. Um, and so anyway, so they always guaranteed her a job at that candy store. Always did. And I think it was when we came back, she was starting to have trouble with McDonald's. And please do not hit my car. I don't know what that was all about. So anyway, and then she ended up getting done dirty at McDonald's. It was pretty bad, but anyway, so you know, in the back end of her job, in like the last year or two of that job that she was there, um, one day I went up there to take her to work, and then I was gonna go to work. So we went over to her job first so she could open, and she opened the doors, and oh my gosh, there was fudge on the table, left on the table overnight. That store was so trashed, it was beyond belief. And let me tell you what it looked like to me. It looked like that her coworkers did that intentionally to get back at her because they knew she had to open and she was opening by herself. Okay? And it was just mind blowing how bad that store was. It was so mind blowing. I was like shooting pictures, sending them to corporate. I was livid. And she just has tears rolling down her face. It hurt her so bad. And when you have kids or someone you really, really love, you can feel their pain. Really, you can. Even if your kids are miles away, you can tell when they're sad. You can tell when they're uneasy. You can tell when they're sick. You always feel it. And it'll come over you like going, why am I feeling like this? And then you'll realize it's one of your children. So, I'm standing right there next to her, and tears rolled down her face. And it broke my heart because I knew the way it looked like a vendetta. I didn't tell her that, but I said that's just wrong because there's no reason it's going to take, a couple hours to clean this store up so that it's operating, you know? And the problem is, you don't want to shut the doors because you're going to lose revenue. So she's going to have to try to run the business and clean that dump. Never in my life have I seen that business look like that. Not even on a slam packed busy day. Okay. So, to me, it looked intentional. Now, I don't know if I ever mentioned that to her, but that's what I thought. And I was in flames. So, you know what I do? I know the owner. I know how to get a hold of corporate. I know how to get a hold of the district man. I have my fingers doing the walking, Jack. And I'm sending pictures. And my daughter's just standing there in shock, like, how on earth is she going to clean it? And I mean, I can't help her, maybe a little bit on the outside floor, but I can't go behind the counters or any of that stuff because I'm not an employee there. And they got cameras. And it broke my freaking heart. She was so hurt because, I mean, you should have seen her face. Well, you should see mine, I guess, because I was pretty upset too. I was blown away. It was just inexcusable. And personally, I felt like it was a vendetta. There's people at times that worked there from management. They floated so many managers through that store, and they were such a fail. And even some of the workers that they had, a few of them, were just trash. And they hated her. You know why they hated her? Because she was so good at what she did. And you know what? She didn't hesitate to teach anybody new. She loved when management said, will you show them this or show them that? And she was just right on it and super sweet. Show them the exact way it's done. I mean, she could read the manual to the machines there, from the shake machines to whatever, and 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 then turn around and tell you just about every sentence in the book. I mean, she is really, really, really sharp that way. She's super serious, man. I mean, she didn't play around, you know. So, it hurt me so bad to see that, because I knew it was a vendetta. I didn't want her to know that, but it looked to me like very jealous coworkers that were setting her up to make her straighten out a totally trash store, and that's wrong, and that's abusive, because a store needs to be open, it needs to be open on time, and it's supposed to be clean and ready to go. And that's those responsibilities, the ones that closed the night before. Okay. But it made me feel like, they knew she was on schedule and she was to open, and they just leave a big, giant, horrendous mess for her. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that in the history of that store, except for that time. Because it just never was like that. I mean, you could always look in the doors at closing, and the place was immaculate. Okay. But I mean, literally, they had fudge on the marble table. A whole thing of fudge. It was never sliced, finished, put away, nothing. Okay. I mean, what in the heck? Amongst all the garbage, the trash, and it was so nasty. And she had to be able to clean all that crap up herself. And yeah, she could do it, but I bet that day she was in tears, mopping and sweeping and trying to straighten stuff out, and I bet it was just horrible for her. Because, see, I had to go to work pretty shortly. I helped her for a minute, but I was busy with that phone, taking those pictures, talking to district people, and I even talked to corporate. I said, this is absolutely inexcusable. And I said, there is no reason for this. And my daughter shouldn't have to come to work like this. Now, let me tell you why I can do that. One, she's a minor. I'm in charge of her. So, as a minor, I legally represent her, being her parent. So, that's why I could do that. So, anytime anything went wrong at any of these jobs, guess who was on the horn? Me. If not, I'll go see them in person. Because you're not going to abuse my daughter. You're not going to treat her like trash. And, you know, she will make you huge money, but don't use her up. You know what I mean? So, um, this thing upset me so much. It really did. It was horrible. But, she worked there a lot of years. She did all the manager stuff that managers would do for years. Really should have been paid a whole lot more. We all know that. I think her last two raises were bypassed, which was very sad. And, things kind of changed. But she was always welcome to come back to work there. As a matter of fact, they traveled to her after she so called quit, which I told her, don't do that. Because those people will always work you. And you don't want to, delete your books. Because then you have to start all over again. She's like, well, no, we decided. And I'm like, oh, here we go. What's we? You and the mouse in your pocket. Well, she did. She did. She canceled the job out. Well, they went back and they drove uh, to one town over to go see her at work at this other job she went to. That was her little side job. And begged her to come back. You know why they begged her to come back? Because corporate and AC, the owner, wanted her back. Oh, yes, they did. Oh, yes, they did. Twice they wanted her back. Yep, twice. And I think at this point they've probably given up. Pretty sad, because that was her ace in her back pocket. She'd always have a job, even if it was for one day or one day a month or 5 days a year or whatever. She would always be welcome. And so And if they want you that bad, that's how you push them for that other raise, too. Say, oh, oops, you guys missed me on the last two. I was supposed to have my evaluations. So, anyway, and she worked with a pretty good crew. It's just sometimes it would bring management in that are just sorry as heck from other stores. But it was cool because I'd just call her in. I would talk to district guys and I'd say, well, how long is that manager going to be there? Because they're really bad. And I'd say, well, a week or 2 weeks or whatever. I said, well, then sign boop out. And she'll be back when they leave. And they were like, okay, if it's that bad, yeah, okay. I mean, that's how cool they were. So, that day that we opened that store and stood there with that big mess that I knew was a vicious vendetta, and my baby girl all of a sudden has tears rolling down her face. And I think it was just because she realized she had so much work to do just to be able to be open. And she had to do it all by herself. And I knew, and it hurt me so bad. It just rips your guts out when your kid is hurting inside. Because it's just a mommy thing, just like if you're a daddy. I mean, you feel your kids, you feel them. Because they're you. Like I say, they could be a million miles away, and you're going to feel them. You're going to feel when they're sad. You're going to feel when they're down. And you're going to feel their pain. And you'll know when they're sick. They don't feel good. You just know without even talking to them or seeing them. And that day was so painful. I felt so bad for that little girl. Really, I did. You know, but, people that do bad things come back to them. You know, people that are good at heart do okay. So, she was a serious long termer there. And it was still unfortunate she couldn't be a manager. I talked to corporate and I talked to the district man and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why you guys just don't pay her to be a manager because she does all the manager stuff anyway. Even the managers you send down there can't even do their own job. My daughter does it for them, you know. And they're like, Red, she's a crybaby. And I said, well, maybe. I said, but it still doesn't mean she can't be a manager because she's one heck of a manager. And she's good with everybody, her coworkers. She's good at training people. She does exactly what you tell her. She knows how to do everything in the store, opening to closing. And I said, she'll get tough in time, you know, but they didn't believe enough in her. And that made me sad because she worked her way to the top and they took it from her. They wouldn't give it to her. It was like that silver star sparkling in the sky with your feet on the ground reaching up for the stars. You know what I mean? And just can't grab one. That gold ring, you know what I mean? But, and it goes back to the stuff that I've been through for the last few days with this crappy main job. I think I felt the same pain that my daughter had when we walked into that store and it was all trashed up. And just in the last 2 days that I've worked, I swear I felt like her because my boss has treated me horrible the last 2 days. Um, from being just really mean, and today was just abusive mean. I mean, verbally, and it's not even appropriate, you know. And I just wanted to cry all day yesterday. It was so hard to be at work. I didn't want to be there. I kept doing my job and everything I was asked. I don't say nothing. I say yes sir, no sir. Today was the same, but worse. And then he was like trying to kiss butt later. Sort of like he felt guilty, and he should. He should. And I kind of think he knows my YouTube channel because he kind of changed his tune a little bit today, but still he was a jerk. Uh, and I kind of have a funny feeling, and that's okay. You know, if he knows my YouTube channel, I hope he's listening. Because um, there's no reason to be abusive to people at their job, nor vindictive. It doesn't get anything accomplished, and if you get caught, you end up losing your job. Is it worth it? The biggest thing is some of these folks need to be taking some supervision management courses like I did. I took two supervision management. I took two speech classes. You know, I got a degree in fashion design and merchandising at UCLA. Okay, that pertains to this job I've got right now, my main job. And so I'm more educated than the jokers I work with that are managers. And I'm the last man on the totem pole because everybody else is gone. They transferred dude out, the other girl's gone. I'm the only worker. So the managers can't leave at 12 noon anymore, or 2 in the afternoon, like they were doing when I first started. I'm like, this is the strangest job I've ever seen. Managers never stay till closing. They don't fix nothing. They don't reprimand employees. Nothing. Strangest thing I've ever seen. Is let it roll. You know, and so um, it hurt so bad today, and I thought about Boo really a lot. I thought, boy, I hope she didn't go through that too much that I didn't know about. You know, because I can't tell you how many times that I called the district man. I can't even tell you how many times I talked to corporate over that job of hers, and the times that I talked to the owner, AC. I'm not joking. In all those years she worked there. Well, because she was a minor. I was in charge. I have a legal right to say so. I am a concerned parent, and if it's a violation in any kind of way, then I'm going to where we need to go on this. You know what I mean? Um, and today, her boss is a very dear friend of mine. The one of her bosses that she had, the one that didn't want to hire her, is a very dear friend of mine, like a son. And great guy, great guy. He got married finally after all those years with that girl he's been with. Um, his two fabulous children. He works really darn hard. Always has worked hard. When we knew him, back when Boop was working with him, he was working like three jobs. Okay, this guy's a serious worker, and you know, it's just it's amazing. What people are doing in management, and that it just like I say today, I was so upset today, and when I finally got out of work, you know, my boss was so vicious and so nasty. When I finally got out of work, I just kind of stood there down the way from my work at the mall and just kind of looked. And I thought, I hope my daughter didn't feel this bad. You know, I hope she was totally honest with me about everything at that job. Because, man, it hurts when people are horrible to you. It just does. And I swore, I said, I think I'm feeling exactly how she felt when she looked at that store. I was right there with her. I was so shocked you couldn't believe it. And it broke my heart. I just was like, And you know, when you're a parent, you don't want to get your kids excited, no matter if they're little bitty or older. And try to be in control of the situation. Go, okay, you know, when you know you're just like blowing a head gasket inside because it's wrong. But guess what? You know how to handle the situation like an adult, business wise, legally, and that's exactly what you're going to do. And that's what I did every single time. So, you know, I swear it made me cry today twice. I held my own all day yesterday and all day today until I got off of work. And here I am crying again over this stuff. So, that's why I wanted to tell you that story. Because I swear I'm feeling the same thing she did. And, you know, I don't like working for other people. I really don't. I've always worked for myself for many, many years and made huge money. And things turned from the pandemic really bad in several different ways, about three different ways, critically. My whole life changed. I have never been so poor in my flipping life. I'm working so hard for freaking minimum wage. I haven't worked minimum wage since I was 12 years old, probably. But anyway, I'm going to catch you guys in the next vlog, and I love you for being here. It's been a really hard day. And yes, I've called the corporate twice, but they're not there for the weekend. So we'll see what happens. Love you guys. Have a really great night. And I promise I'll see you in the next one.